Good morning. Well, of course, that was Barry Manilow. See more of him a little bit later on. I'm Philip Schofield.
Here in the UK, it's been announced within the last hour that the TV presenter Philip Schofield is to step down from the programme this morning with immediate effect.
But he is the chief narcissist. Everything is about him.
Everybody knew, and no one said anything because they enjoyed the money.
I'm sure you've heard the name Philip Schofield by now, even if you aren't from the UK. This Morning is a popular daytime television show in the UK. First hitting the air in 1988, the show quickly gained a dedicated following. But how did a once beloved TV show loved by millions end up being the talk of severe allegations regarding its main presenter? Recently, more and more has been spilling out about Schofield and an affair with a much younger runner on the show, to the point where most recently he straight up admitted that the affair was true. But this has been an ongoing talk of discussion, with people being very suspicious of Schofield for quite a few years now. So this is how it all began. I'm going to be censoring and blurring out the young runner's name and face, but I'm going to refer to him as M throughout this video. M joined a theatre company called Two-Faced when he was just 10 years old, in the hopes to become an actor. At this company, they had patrons who pledged money to support and fund the group, and one of these members were Philip Schofield, alongside some other celebrities too. M then created his first Twitter account in 2011, aged 14. Then on March 26, 2011, just 5 days after he turned 15, he got a follow on Twitter from Schofield himself. Okay, so at this point you could try and argue, well, Philip follows over 11k accounts on Twitter. Maybe he just did it randomly or something. Sort of like how Bart Baker follows me on Twitter for some reason. Fucking hell, man, he follows 170k people. How? But this strange connection continues on through tweets though. In May of 2011, Schofield pays Two-Faced Theatre a visit for a Q&A session. Then from December 2011 to November 2013, M made a new Twitter for his acting career and tweeted asking Philip to follow him, which he did, but again he didn't reply to any of his tweets. Now jumping ahead to March 2014, he made yet another account, now being over 18, and this is when the first tweet from Schofield was sent, replying to him once again. And side note, we can't see M's reply due to his privacy settings on Twitter. Then in April, Philip would take to Twitter to congratulate M for starring in 2 upcoming shows. After this is when everything began to kick off in a disturbing direction though. In July of 2014, M is invited out for a behind the scenes visit to the sets of This Morning by, yeah, you guessed it, Philip Schofield. And also a new person is introduced into this case now, a man called Simon Schofield. Don't get confused here, he isn't related to Philip Schofield, but they're very good friends. I found this picture from Twitter of M pretty close to Simon when he was barely 17, so this itself proves another thing, that there must have been some sort of interaction or conversation taking place between M, Philip and Simon, because, well, why else would they invite a random 17-year-old actor out with them? Oh, and there's this picture too that M posted. Back to the tweets though. In December 2014, Schofield replies to the London Studios account saying, just recorded at the Chatty Man Christmas show. There may have been tequila. M then replied, again, we can't see what he said, but Schofield replied, so funny. Bit rude for a Christmas day. So essentially it's insinuating that the pair were together on this day, as though they were recalling their time there. And once again, we have another congrats tweet from Philip for getting a new part in a Channel 4 series. And this is where everything starts to come together regarding the allegations. From the end of March to the start of April 2015, M worked on the show This Morning for work experience for 3 weeks, alongside interviewing Schofield as well. But just shortly prior to this, or around the time work experience started to kick off, the pair were caught in the background of a prank video by no other than Jack Jones TV. If you don't remember this guy, then count yourself lucky. But back in the day, he made some just unfunny fake pranks that, you know, they weren't great, and he himself wasn't a very good person either.
Go back to your own country and shut the up, you I'll knock the out of you.
But, you know, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. You know, it has been quite a few years since that, and you know, he's maybe grown up since then. But, you know, huge credit to him, because this actually was a massive piece of evidence for this case. So when he pulled confetti in celebration of 1 million followers, he caught Schofield having drinks with M. Jack then claimed that after he made this video, he was begged by Schofield not to upload it as it could damage his career, and when asked why, Philip wouldn't go into detail.
And after I did the video, he begged me not to post the video up because he said it could ruin my career. And I said, how could it ruin your career? And he said he didn't want to get into it. But we all know the truth now, don't we, Philip?
In around April of 2016, after working some prior jobs including Hollister, he moved to London to work as a runner for This Morning. In late of 2016, around September time, is when Schofield decided to tap into Snapchat. Now when I first heard this, it actually unlocked a deep memory from me because I actually had Philip Schofield on Snapchat. Not as a friend, but I had sent him messages before. And I vividly remember, especially in my school and Aberdeen in general, that this was a big meme and thing to do. You know, go and message Philip Schofield, see if he'll reply. Because, he actually would. I remember him replying to some of my friends. He ignored me though, 3 times, so at the time I probably would have been around 16, maybe 15. But so far, nothing damaging has been uncovered from Snapchat. It's just sort of something that happened and it was just a bit odd, but I don't think there's actually any, major incriminating Snapchats or anything. Now in 2017 March time, for M's birthday, he was joined by both Philip and Simon, so at this point we can definitely assume that all 3 were close. Then in January of 2018, This Morning and its team won an NTA, or National Television Awards, on stage and were joined by their runner, M, which it was unusual for a runner to be at stage collecting an award like that. Then in May of 2019, there were reports that their relationship had turned sour and that things were not great between them, which led M to move to Loose Women, another talk show here in the UK. In January 2020, Philip actually kicked M out of the NTA's This Morning VIP room, and M was seen by press looking pretty pissed after this. Alongside this, Philip was also spotted vaping and looking pretty stressed out. The rumours then followed that M was about to come out and expose Philip but was silenced, and in a result they needed a distraction in case this did slip out. And that's when Philip Schofield took to his Instagram story to tell the nation about his sexuality, later discussing it on This Morning shortly after. It's also alleged that Ruth Langford, who was another presenter on This Morning, put in a complaint against the closeness of Philip and the young runner. This was actually stated by Katie Hopkins. Now, Katie, she has a passive saying dumb shit, I'm just gonna warn you now, but you know what, again, credit to Katie, she has been very vocal about this whole ordeal and has given us more of an insight to behind the scenes of This Morning.
Meanwhile, Philip is back, and ITV This Morning are pretending that no one had any idea that for the longest time something very strange was going on between Philip and a very young showrunner, and this runner was on all of Philip's shows, and Uncle Philip used to give him some very special attention at quite a young age, at which point Ruth, who also used to be on the show before she was binned, put in a complaint about certain behaviours that were never then talked about.
She also uploaded a video predicting what will happen, and so far she's been pretty accurate, as there were talks about Schofield getting a new daytime show, but after everything, this is definitely not gonna happen now. But the biggest evidence we have is from Schofield himself. Katie claims his reason for speaking out was simple, because they had shit on Schofield, they had no choice but to admit that he lied about it. In the article, he claims he had a consensual relationship with someone much younger than him, but stresses that even though he knew him in his teenage years, that it was legal. Shortly after he departed This Morning, Holly did put up this Instagram story wishing him well, but then shortly after he was forced to tell the truth to the papers, she put up another story saying that she felt hurt and lied to. I guess, in conclusion, there is still probably a lot more to come out, and more people are starting to talk about this as well. Eamonn Holmes, one of Philip Schofield's former co-workers, has just come out with a massive bombshell critiquing Philip and saying that he was rude and just a toxic person to work around.
He was so rude. This nonsense that he wrote today about toxicity, about it's the happy place and whatever. Holy God. He created an atmosphere where people hated him. The people would avoid him in the corridor. He didn't look at anybody, didn't know anybody's name. Holly doesn't know people's names either. This is legendary within the production team, yes, it is, that how distant they are and how they just don't care.
Just listening to Eamonn Holmes, you can tell that he has felt this for so many years.
Because he would arrive much earlier in the morning than I would for the programme, that he was delivered from Philip's London home, usually on a Friday morning. Because Thursday was playtime when he and Philip would hit the town. Obviously stayed overnight. Ruth and I particularly looked after him. He never once talked to us about any relationship, but we knew he was in a bad way. He was in a bad way, fragilely,
Is this once he'd been moved to loose women?
No. Before that, he seemed to go through a lot of money in his life. We would use him for other jobs and help him, and he was always very, very reliable, but he needed a lot of money in his life for whatever reason.
But yeah, that's sort of the end of this video for now anyway. If this video was helpful at all, then I would really appreciate if you could subscribe for similar content to this, and I will keep an eye out on this situation because I do think a lot more is going to happen. As always, if there is something you want to see me cover, then just let me know in the comments below, and I will see you guys in the next one.